Today, we're going to dive deep into the microscopic world inside every single one of your cells. We're talking about a vital, but, often overlooked part of life, the cytoplasm. It's been called the cell's living soup, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll see why it's the true unsung hero of, well, everything.
Okay, so to really get a handle on cytoplasm, we first need to zoom out just a little bit. Let's start with the big picture. What actually makes up the living matter of a cell in the first place?
Just imagine it for a second. If you could shrink down, like way down, smaller than a speck of dust, and just pop inside a cell, what would you see? It's definitely not empty space, I can tell you that. You'd be floating in this bustling, vibrant, and unbelievably complex world.
So that entire world you'd be floating in, everything contained inside the cell's outer boundary, that has a name. It's called protoplasm. And this is, quite literally, the stuff of life. It's the all-encompassing term for the living material that makes a cell, well, a cell.
Now, in more complex cells, like the ones in our bodies, this protoplasm isn't just one big uniform blob. Nope, it's neatly organized into two main regions. You've got the central command center, the nucleus, and then you have everything else that fills the rest of the cell. And that everything else, that's the cytoplasm.
All right, so now that we've kind of placed it on the map, let's get our bearings. We're going to pinpoint exactly where the cytoplasm is and what defines its territory inside the cell.
The easiest way to think about it is like this. The nucleus is the main office, right? It holds all the genetic blueprints. The cytoplasm, then, is this huge, sprawling region that fills the rest of the building. It's not just empty space. It's the entire factory floor where the work actually gets done. It's where the blueprints from the main office are put into action. And here's what's so incredible. This setup isn't just for complex cells like ours. Cytoplasm is absolutely fundamental to all known life. It doesn't matter if you're looking at the simplest little bacterium or a super specialized neuron in your brain. You are going to find cytoplasm. It is a truly universal ingredient for life.
So, we know where it is, but what is this living soup actually made of? Come on, let's break down the recipe for this stuff.
So what do you think the number one ingredient is in this incredibly complex soup? What makes up about 90% of it? You might be surprised. It's water. That's right. The vast majority of this life-giving substance is just plain old H2O. But of course, it's not just water. What makes it a soup is everything that's dissolved in that water. It's this rich broth of life's building blocks. You've got salts, sugars for quick energy, amino acids all ready to be built into proteins, vitamins, the list goes on. It's a perfectly balanced solution with pretty much everything a cell needs to get by.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. It's not just small stuff dissolved in there. You also have much larger molecules, especially proteins, just suspended in the mix. And this is what gives the cytoplasm its signature texture. It's not quite liquid, not quite solid. It's this rich, gel-like substance. The technical term is a colloidal solution.
Okay, so this brings us to a really key distinction. The entire substance, the gel, the suspended proteins, all of it, that's the cytoplasm. But if we're talking about just the liquid part, the water and all those dissolved goodies, that is specifically called the cytosol. Think of the cytosol as the base of the soup.
So we know what it's made of. Now let's talk about what it does, because this is where the cytoplasm really shines. This is the cell's bustling, non-stop workshop.
Put simply, the cytoplasm is the main stage for metabolism. All those thousands of chemical reactions, the ones that break things down for energy and build new things for growth, the very processes that define what it means to be alive, they're all happening right here. And what kind of reactions are we talking about? Well, some of the most basic, fundamental processes for life. For example, building proteins, the little machines of the cell, that happens here. And glycolysis, that crucial first step in turning the sugar from your lunch into usable energy, that starts here too. To really drive home how important this is, just think about a simple cell like a bacterium. They don't have a nucleus or any of those other fancy compartments. For them, the cytoplasm is everything. It is the only place where all of life's chemical reactions can happen. It's the stage, the workshop, and the pantry all rolled into one.
So all of this really just highlights the cytoplasm's essential dual role. It is so much more than just passive filler material that's holding everything in place.
It really does two core jobs perfectly.
First, it's the storehouse, holding all the raw materials and building blocks the cell needs, and second, it's the stage, providing the perfect chemical environment for all the drama of life's reactions to play out.
So, if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Cytoplasm is not just empty space. It is a dynamic, complex, and absolutely essential environment that's constantly churning with the activity that makes life possible.
It really is the cell's living soup. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, doesn't it? If this recipe is so perfectly balanced to sustain life, what happens to a cell, or to a whole person, when that recipe goes wrong? That question is really at the heart of so much of modern science.